this gets very important now. The book of Ecclesiastes is in the Apocrypha. Yes.
So is this scripture saying if a virgin is in the field but she's not betrothed, and
Right.
a man takes her, he's now have to pay that fee, and that's his wife?
If he rapes her, then no. But if the father has so much, he has so much say so into this. He can still deny it. But if the woman didn't cry out, then he must give the father 50 shekels of silver, and because the whole thing here now is that they didn't go through the right protocol. Where the father and the mother get together and everything like that. They examine the young man and things like that. So being that you did it behind my back, 50 shekels of silver, and you can't put her away because it was done out of malice and trickery. You tried to hide the situation. And we're going to show this now in the book of Ecclesiastes.
Maury, excuse me, does that shekel thing play out the same way? Because with Jacob's daughter, Dinah, and when Shepherd took her?
Oh yeah, we're going to, we'll be here all day, but I wanted to talk about that too, but I know we're running out of time.
And also those 50 shekels are paid to the father.
Exactly. Watch how this goes. The book of Ecclesiastes is the 7th chapter. Okay, Ecclesiastes is the 7th chapter, verses 23 to 25. Hast thou children?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, I thought you was about to say. Oh, hast thou children? Instruct them, which is Torah, and bow down their necks from their youth. This is how to get the instructions from the youth. You go to the book of Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter, talks about how we're supposed to teach our children when we're going in and when we're going out. Hast thou daughters? Very, very important. Hast thou daughters? Scripture says now, the man is the head of the household. Hast thou daughters? Have care of their bodies. We don't want our daughters defiled here. And show not thyself cheerful towards your daughters. Marry your daughters, which means give them into marriage, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter. But give her to a man of understanding. So I just found that very, very important. So we're going to get into the heart of this. Yes.
What chapter are you?
He's
In the book, in the Apocrypha.
It's in the sequel.
Yeah, because I just read chapter 7, verses 23 to 25. Then I want to stay in the same book and go to 22.
Maury?
Yes.
Just for understanding, can you please read 26 for me, please?
26.
Could you reread that over again?
Okay, 23. Hast thou children? Instruct them, which are your children, and bow down their neck from their youth. Hast thou daughters? Have care of their bodies, and show not thyself cheerful towards them. Marry your daughters, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter, but give her into a man of understanding. You said verse 26?
Yes.
Hast thou a wife after thy mind? Which is a question. If you do, forsake her not, but give not thyself over to a hateful woman, is what it says. A hateful woman. And so in order now for the body to work, okay, again, you're just going back to the same word again, it's being an asset. And so there's a family's responsibility, especially with the daughters. And again, daughters is so important. We don't want the daughters to defile themselves. And we're going to show that in the book of Ecclesiastes 22 and 5. We want the scriptures to speak, because there's something going on between Laban, Rebekah, Jacob, and we're going to also show something that's going on with Rachel. 22. Verse 4. Watch this. A wise daughter shall bring an inheritance to her husband. What is the inheritance? Oh, excuse me. Ecclesiastes chapter 22, verse 4. It says a wise daughter, because the father now is going to give his daughter now to a man of understanding. So a wise daughter who follows Torah shall bring an inheritance to her husband. And I asked, there's a lot of things that's an inheritance, but one of the inheritance that...
Is it Zerah? Seed?
Children, right. So it's going to be children. Now, that's one of many things. But she that liveth dishonestly is her father's heaviness. So what does that mean? But she that liveth dishonestly. What do you gather from that?
Bring shame.
And how does she do that? Huh? You give me something else. Step out.
You're stepping out of marriage.
Out of a marriage?
That's it. You got it right there. That's the word. That's the
Okay, so this is what happens. A wise daughter shall bring an inheritance to her husband, but she that liveth dishonestly is her father's heaviness. Why is it her father's heaviness? Is because this woman now actually had intercourse, and we're going to show this now, in her father's house, without the father knowing, because the father covers everything inside of his house. So this is going to now bring heaviness on the father, because the father is the head of the house. I have a daughter. So I use myself as an example. If I had another daughter, this thing is so stringent with law and a family's name. If my daughter had intercourse with another man, with a man, and I didn't know anything about it, nothing about it, this now is going to reflect the other daughters. Because now I'm in a situation where, what do I now do with this daughter? And this is where it got interesting. Well, Kasada, once we come back into the walk, we're now all virgins again. I said, okay, fine, no problem. So I said, now this is spiritual. This is spiritual, right? So, according to Scripture, we're talking about physical virgins here. Physical virgins. What is the price for a virgin? 50 shekels. Bringing shame or dishonor to the father's house. If this was a situation where she had intercourse with a man, committed whoredom in her father's house, a man is now interested in her, what is her price?
Free.
The woman is free? So you're saying that if that woman had relations with a man outside of her father's approval, and then another man is not interested in her, that the father can't ask for a dowry?
It's not worth 50 shekels of silver.
She's not worth 50 shekels of silver.
Now,
So her value has depreciated?
I believe so,
Okay.
according to the tradition.
What if she had intercourse with two men? Her value goes down lower?
I think she's
Again, these are questions that I've been addressing.
and I believe she is put away by her father.
She's put away. And look what happens now, what she's actually doing to the other daughters.
That's right.
Now we have a situation where the man is not interested in a woman who has had relations with two men, and she's not with any of the men. What if she now has 3 children, and the man still wants to get involved with her? So what I'm trying to show here now is that the complication that comes along with it, and I have not found a scripture that once a woman has had relations inside of her father's house, committed whoredom, but that's what it is. I don't see in scripture where it says now, well, she's had intercourse with one man in her father's house, so she now, give me 25 shekels, 15 shekels, 10 shekels. I don't see that anywhere. But that becomes a problem because they say, well, listen, you know what, we're spiritual virgins now. We're spiritual. So I want to get back to the status that this physical woman had, and I should also get 50 shekels. Anybody agree or disagree? Okay, you want to think about it? Okay.
Well, the woman that lost her, back then, the physical woman that lost her virginity, she knew about, Torah. She knew the commandments. She knew everything. She was
Right.
aware. So she did that. That's on her. But most of the women that's, coming in, they already lost their, and they want to be spiritual virgins again. But as far as their value diminishing, they didn't know. They weren't aware.
Right. So being that they didn't know, they were not aware, can they now say, okay, then now I'm a spiritual virgin, and so now I meet the qualifications of a physical virgin and get the 50 shekels, the dowry? I mean, again, this is just, I'm just asking the question because again, a lot of times what happens now is that men usually do the talking with this, and again, what we don't do here is that I also want to, hear what the women have to say, because my argument now is that this is different. This here is totally different. And what I'm saying now is that the complications that come along now when a woman is sexually active inside of her father's house. What I'm trying to show here now is structure. The scriptures is always talking about structure. And when things are not done according to structure, you do lose your value. This is what I'm trying to bring out. Now watch this now. I'm almost done.
On that spiritual version.
Can we do this now? Because we're boiling down to the last couple of minutes here, and I just want to finish this up, and then after that, we'll go right back to you. The book of Genesis, 25, 20, and 23. If we can have to speed us up here, let's get Yashra'al Zakane. If you can go to the book of Bereshit, the 25th chapter, verses 20 to 23. Oh, man.
25, 23.
Yes, 25, 20 to 20. Right.
Esau was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to be his wife. Daughter of Baal.
Okay, no problem. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethel, the Syrian of Padam Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. So again, we see what's going on here. Verse 21, they're all related. Isaac is related to Rebekah. So, and we see now the same thing with Laban related to Leah and Rachel. And Isaac entreated Yahuah for his wife because she was barren. Rebekah was barren. And Yahuah was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahuah. And Yahuah said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separate from the boughs. Listen right here. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the other shall serve the younger. Remember verse 23. Bereshit 27, 1 through 46. 27, and then I'm going to just have to speed it up here. 27, 1 through 6. Oh, wow, that's 1 through 46. Man, I'm not going to be able to do that. So let me just give you a quick synopsis of what's going on here, and prayfully that everybody remembers the story. We have a situation now where Rebekah is now pregnant. She's having trouble in her pregnancy. The elder is going to serve the younger. So we have Esau being the firstborn, right? And Jacob being the second. Isaac is now old in age. Okay, he can't see, he's about to die. Isaac is speaking to Esau.
Right.
He tells Esau, listen, you know what? I need some venison. Okay, cook up some venison, some good meat for you because I'm about to bless you. Rebecca hears the conversation that Isaac is having with Esau. So she now goes to Jacob and tells Jacob, listen, this is what I need for you to do. I need for you to dress and with the garments and everything like that to look, to feel like Esau. So right now, we have a problem. We have Rebecca. She's actually acting as a deceiver, a liar, and a conniving woman, is what she's doing. She's actually now betraying her husband, taking advantage of his situation and his old age. This is what she did. And she said now to Jacob, because Jacob began to question what she was doing. And she told Jacob, listen, let this curse be upon me. This curse now. And then it goes on further now. We see that the father told Rebekah that the older was going to serve the younger. And so we have now Rebekah looking at birthright, because the firstborn gets the birthright, right? The birthright. So now we have a situation where Jacob now goes to his father Isaac, and his father Isaac said, who are you? He said, I'm his son Esau. And so now we see the word Jacob means what? Supplanter. Okay? He actually stole his brother's birthright. So the question becomes this: can you steal a person's birthright by a pot of stew? There's nowhere in Scripture where you can take a person's birthright through a pot of stew. Jacob's name means supplanter because he took his brother's birthright. But the word Jacob also means now hand over hill. And so like Maury had brought out a couple of months ago, is that the firstborn doesn't always get the blessing. We have a situation where Rebekah now intervenes. She intervenes. So now we have a situation where Jacob takes the firstborn blessing. So we have two problems here. We have the first crime is where Rebekah seduced and tricked her husband. Jacob fell along with it. Jacob now does the second part where he actually puts into play what Rebekah did. So we have two punishments or two things going on here. So now we have the situation, how this whole thing unfolds is that now Jacob goes to Laban because Rebekah hears that Esau now wants to kill Jacob because Jacob tricked his father into taking the firstborn blessing. This is where it gets interesting. Jacob now is recognizing, that's it? Okay.